Advaita Gadadha Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 23. Tasya me tad anusthana.
Tasya me tad anusthana.
Yan ahur brahmavadina.
Yan ahur brahmavadinaha.
Lokasyu kama sandoha.
Lokashu kama sandoha.
Yasya tushyati dishtadre.
Yasya tushyati tishtadre.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mahārāja Pṛthu said, I think that upon the execution of my duties as king, I shall be able to achieve the desirable objectives described by experts in Vedic knowledge. This destination is certainly achieved by the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the seer of all destiny. Mahārāja Pṛthu gives special stress to the word Brahmavadina by the experts in the Vedic knowledge. Brahma refers to the Vedas, which are also known as Shabda Brahma, or transcendental sound. Shabda Brahma, that is the Vedas, because Krishna spoke those Vedas, is transcendental, it's not material sound. Transcendental sound is not ordinary language, although it appears to be written in ordinary language. Evidence from the Vedic literature should be accepted as final authority. In the Vedic literature, there's much information, and of course, there is information about the execution of a king's duty. So evidence from Vedic literature should be accepted as final authority. You know, whose authority are we listening to? Who are we listening to? Who do we have faith in? Who are we believing in? We should have faith in the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. A responsible king who executes his appointed duty by giving proper protection to all living entities on his planet is promoted to the heavenly planetary system. This is also dependent upon the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. It is not that if one executes his duty properly, he is automatically promoted, for promotion depends upon the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It must ultimately be concluded that one can achieve the desired results of his activities upon satisfying the Supreme Lord. So it's not that, so Pṛthu Mahārāja is saying, it's not that because I'm doing my duty, so then I have to be promoted. No. If the Lord is pleased with my activities, then the Lord will promote me. This is the attitude of the devotee. They're completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Not that somebody is hearing and chanting, and so one says, oh, because I'm hearing and chanting, and so I must be promoted. No, it depends on, is the Lord pleased? Is Krishna pleased by our hearing and chanting? That's what is important. And when he's pleased, then automatically he will give us his mercy. This is also confirmed in the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ata pumbir dvijat shrestha varnashrama vibhagasa swa nushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. The perfection of one's execution of his appointed duties is the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And Bhagavatam says, why are we doing our duties? Each of us have different duties. We have different positions in society, whatever is our position in the Varna Sharma society. Now, of course, we don't have it, but yet, because it's intrinsic to the soul, no? By the gunas and karma. So we can't take that away. But whatever is our position, we have a duty. And why should we be doing our duties? For the satisfaction of Krishna. That's what Krishna is telling to Arjuna also, that you do your duty, do it for me. What happens to us is we get attached to the results of our duties. We say, I'm doing this because I'm going to enjoy. But Krishna says, don't get attached to the result. You do it for me, and then you will feel happy. Then you will be able to enjoy. Because if we get attached to the result, what happens? We get bound by the results then. Then again, we have to take birth in the material world. So then one may say, oh, for what I have to do then? Let me not do anything. If I have to do for Krishna's satisfaction, I can't do it for my satisfaction. Let me not do anything. We may think like that. And then what's the use? I'm just not gonna work. But if Krishna says that it's not possible that we will not work, something or the other we are going to do. Without work, we cannot even maintain ourselves, he says, which is true. No? How long can we sit down doing nothing? We are going to move. But then we may say, but why should I give my result to Krishna? I want to keep it for myself. But we continue hearing and chanting. Continue hearing and chanting. Gradually, that detachment to the result will happen. We are attached to the results of our activities. So we continue hearing and chanting. And by hearing and chanting, automatically we will get knowledge and detachment. The word kama sandoda means achievement of the desired result. Everyone desires to achieve the ultimate goal of life. But in modern civilization, the great scientists think that a man's life has no plan. This gross ignorance is very dangerous and makes civilization very risky. It's true, no? Like our society, we have moved away from God. I mean, if we look outside, we are not a God-conscious society, and in fact, we are taught that everything is dependent on us, and that God does not exist. Life is coming from matter. This kind of thought is being very prevalent. Then we may say, oh, everything is dependent on us. But of course, I have to do my work, no? Things are dependent on me. There are certain people who are dependent on me. My work is dependent. Again, the same point that we do whatever we need to do and depending upon Krishna for the result. This is what Pṛthu Mahārāja is saying, that he's depending on Krishna for the result. He's doing his duties. So people do not know the laws of nature, which are the rulings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they are atheists of the first order, they have no faith in the existence of God and his rulings, and therefore do not know how nature is working. This gross ignorance of the mass of people, including even the so-called scientists and philosophers, makes life a risky situation in which human beings do not know whether they are making progress in life. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30, they are simply progressing to the darkest region of material existence. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram. The Krishna consciousness movement has therefore been started to give philosophers, scientists, and people in general the proper knowledge about the destiny of life. Everyone should take advantage of this movement and learn the real goal of life. Real goal of life. What is the real goal of life? Anyone?
गोलोक गोलोक पण जाना भगवान वृंदावन गोलोक
Golok Jana. Very good. Thank you. Lord Chaitanya बोलते हैं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान. Prema Pumartha Mahan. The ultimate goal is to revive our Krishna Prema. Same, Golok Jana, reviving our love for Krishna. Same. Thank you. Ya uddharet karam raja,
Ya uttaret karam raja,
praja dharmeshva ashikshayan,
praja dharmeshva ashikshayan,
prajanam shamalam bhukte,
prajanam shamalam bhukte,
bhagam cha swam jahati sa.
pagam cha swam jahati saha.
Any king who does not teach his citizens about their respective duties in terms of varna and ashram, but who simply exacts tolls and taxes from them, is liable to suffer for the impious activities which have been performed by the citizens. In addition to such degradation, the king also loses his own fortune. A king, governor, or president should not take the opportunity to occupy his post without also discharging his duty. So we had read a few days ago in Bhagavatam that if the king is collecting taxes, then he needs to give protection to the citizens. If he does not, then he gets 1/6 of the share of the bad things that the citizens are doing, and all his own pious results are gone. So the king, he must teach the people within the state how to observe the divisions of varna and ashram. If a king neglects to give such instructions and is simply satisfied with levying taxes, then those who share in the collection, namely all the government servants and the head of the state, are liable to share in the impious activities of the general masses. The laws of nature are very subtle. For example, if one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant reaction of the sinful activities performed there. It is a Vedic system, therefore, for a householder to call Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat at ceremonial performances in his house, because the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas can immunize him from sinful activities. But it is not the duty of rigid Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitations everywhere. There is, of course, no objection to take part in feasts in which prasad is distributed. So the laws of nature are very subtle. We may not believe in it, we may not have faith in them, but they are there and they act on us. There are many subtle laws which are practically unknown to people in general, but the Krishna consciousness movement is very scientifically distributing all this Vedic knowledge for the benefit of the people of the world. So that's why it's recommended that even if we are eating outside, we cannot offer. Then we offer to Lord Vishnu. We say Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Or if we really want to offer to the deities, we can, or offer to the spiritual master the food that we eat. Of course, has to be only vegetarian food. Krishna does not eat meat. Tat praja bratir pindartham.
Tat praja bharti pindatham,
Swartham evan na suyava.
swartam eva na suyavaha,
Kuruta dhokshaja dhyas.
kuruta dokshajadiyas,
Tarhi me anuragaha krita.
tarhi me anugraha kritaha.
Pṛthu Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests. And you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. The words Adoksha Jadiya, meaning Krishna consciousness, are very important in this verse. The kings and citizens should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after death. So here, Pṛthu Mahārāja is telling the citizens, he's asking for their cooperation. He's asking them, kindly do your duties properly for the satisfaction of the Lord, so that after my death also, I don't have an inauspicious destination. So it's good for you and good for me. This is what Pṛthu Mahārāja is saying. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously, for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Pṛthu Mahārāja therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness, and he was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. A summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 27. Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kuru swamad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo should be done in Krishna consciousness or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Whatever you are doing, you do what you want to do. What you are eating, okay. Whatever you're giving in charity, whatever austerity, fasting, penances, going to pilgrimages, anything what you're doing, do it for satisfaction of Krishna, satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. This is Karma Yoga. So, Karma Yoga is a little different than Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga, the devotee does what he likes to do, but he offers the result of those activities for Krishna. Thus offers the results of those activities to Krishna. So, for example, he feels like to eat French fries. So he goes market, cleans potatoes, cuts, fries, and then offers to Krishna and eats. So becomes Karma Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, he thinks Krishna will like to eat French fries. Then he does the whole thing and offers it to Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes, very nicely explained. Right.
So at least we should come to the point of Karma Yoga. That's the whole premise of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna wants us to come to this platform. That's what he's telling Arjuna. You do your duty. You're a Kshatriya. You have this gunas, the modes. We are all controlled by the modes. They will make us act. So Krishna is saying, okay, you are in the modes. All right, do what you're doing, but you offer the result to me. Do it for my satisfaction. So if all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the stringent laws of material nature, they will not be implicated. So that we don't get entangled with the results, so that we don't have to keep on taking future lives in this material world. So this is what even Pṛthu Mahārāja is telling them, that you do Karma Yoga. Do your duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. Yuyam tad anumodadvam.
Yuyam tad anumodadvam.
Pitradevarashyo amala.
Pitridevashayo amalaha.
Kartu shastur anugyatus.
Kartu shastu anugyatus.
Tulyam yad pretya tat phalam.
Tulyam yat pretya tat phalam.
I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers, and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death, the result of an action is equally shared by its doer its director, and its supporter. The government of Pṛthu Maharaj was perfect because it was administered exactly according to the orders of the Vedic injunctions. Pṛthu Maharaj has already explained that the chief duty of the government is to see that everyone executes his respective duty and is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness. The government should be so conducted that automatically one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. King Pṛthu therefore wanted his citizens to cooperate fully with him, for if they assented, they would enjoy the same profit as he after death. So it's a win-win situation. Pṛthu Maharaj is telling them, it's win-win. It's good for you, it's good for me. Everyone is beneficial. If you can just cooperate, do whatever duties you need to do for the satisfaction of Krishna. If Pṛthu Maharaj, as a perfect king, were elevated to the heavenly planets, the citizens who cooperated by approving of his methods would also be elevated with him. Since the Krishna consciousness movement going on at the present moment is genuine, perfect, and authorized, and is following in the footsteps of Pṛthu Maharaj, anyone who cooperates with this movement or accepts its principles will get the same result as the workers who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness. Jai. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that whoever is cooperating with Pṛthu Maharaj, so wherever Pṛthu Maharaj goes, that's where the people are going. So similarly, if we cooperate also with the Krishna consciousness movement, then we will get the same destination. Go back home, back to Godhead. Yes, or accepts its principles, Srila Prabhupada said, will get the same results as the workers, as the pure devotees who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness. Asti yagya patirnama
Asti Pati Nama
keshanchit arhasattama
Keshanchit Arhasattamaha
iha mutra cha lakshyante
Iha Mutra Cha Lakshanti
jyotsna vatya kvachit bhuva.
Jyotsna Vatya Kvachit Bhuvaha.
My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to the authoritative statements of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activities. Otherwise, why should there be persons who are unusually beautiful and powerful, both in this life and in the life after death? So, Pṛthu Maharaj is saying, okay, there is the law of karma. So, but whose authority is it? Who's the lawmaker? You know, why someone is born beautiful, someone is more powerful, why someone is not so beautiful, why someone is not so powerful. You know, so there is a lawmaker, the Supreme Lord. Pṛthu Maharaj's sole aim in ruling his kingdom was to raise the citizens to the standard of pure consciousness. Since there was a great assembly in the arena of sacrifice, there were different types of men present, but he was especially interested in speaking to those who were not atheists. It has already been explained in the previous verses that Pṛthu Maharaj advised the citizens to become adhokshaja dhiya, which means God conscious or Krishna conscious. And in this verse, he specifically presents the authority of Shastra. Even though his father was a number one atheist who did not abide by the injunction mentioned in the Vedic Shastras, who practically stopped all sacrificial performances and who so disgusted the Brahmanas that they not only dethroned him but cursed and killed him. Does anyone remember who was his father? Pṛthu Maharaj's father?
Veena. King
Yeah,
Veena.
that's right. Yeah, thank you. And Vena's father?
Oh, can't remember the name.
Anga. Mahārāja
Anga.
Anga. He was a
Okay.
pure devotee.
Yes.
And this we are hearing, they are all the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj.
Right.
So atheistic men do not believe in the existence of God, and thus they understand everything which is happening in our daily affairs to be due to physical arrangement and chance. That's what, the way we are being trained now, the way things are going is completely, we have forgotten God. We have forgotten that the results depend on Krishna. But whereas we are thinking, the results are because of me. We are trained like that from childhood. That, oh yeah, the result we are getting is because of me. The truth is we have to put our efforts. Yes, but the results are dependent on Krishna. This is what Krishna is telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. You do your duty, but don't get attached to the result. So this is a bit long, I think, still. Should we stop here for today and continue with the purport tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening and joining in Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki